it is moving, but it is not being actually
It is not moving
projected
at the pace you would like.
All right.
And understandably so, because of the investment that every proponent has made for over a decade. And that is absolutely correct. However, it also involves the case of a government that is also getting into the ropes and having to deal with the concerns that have been raised by other sectors and not just the proponents, for the bill to work and for the law to actually function and not get bogged down in a fierce fight over every instance. Then there has to be, this is at least the way we have been approaching it. If you want the bill to actually start functioning, where disagreements will be the exception and not the rule, because if it had proceeded apace, been passed by the legislature, you would have had an swarm of simply just bureaucrats on the lower level freaking out. It is more probable that you will have on the general information that media and the public wants, that this will function smoothly because it has already given every side a chance to ventilate its concerns.
A final quick question. You give the impression that there are some advocates and there are some critics in the cabinet of the FOI Act. First problem is actually in the spirit of disclosing, why don't these people come out? Who stands for or who stands against FOI? And finally, as a follow-up, is the president ready for it, or are we listening to some excuses, administrative burden, etc.? Because Vince's question was framed in terms of, as a candidate, he was for it. As a senator, he voted for it. As president,
he was answered. You just have to look at his interview with Jessica Soho and he reiterated his support.
That means he is for it. But why can't we have at least a simple statement? I like it passed. I like it passed.
But that's already a statement in a national program. So I think what you are seeing is precisely. It may not be the explicit national central statement that he wants, but nothing has happened, as I've told you in private as well, that nothing prevents, once the understanding has been reached and all parties have shaken hands on this, then you can actually look at a more expedited passage. Remember, you still have to face the Senate version.
Right.
If the House version has reached a consensus among the proponents, the sponsors, the palace, then your Senate bill becomes even faster and therefore passage becomes faster.
All right. The question is put only because the House is really the battleground. And given no signal from the President, the House has slept on the bills. And the President knows that as Liberal Party Chairman. Thank you.
I think, Manolo, you should just need to appreciate where this particular constituency stands on this matter. I mean, before we started, we said 15 years, the first bill that was filed. I mean, everywhere we go in international conferences, we are asked, well, when are you going to pass your FOI? I mean, it's become a bit of an embarrassment. Let us remind ourselves, however, that Pinoy has only been 1 year in office, and that we should balance that then with the previous long past in which we have tried to get an FOI on. So it is moving. It is really up to you. I don't think there's that great a voice coming out for FOI because it seems to have been identified as a media issue. Actually, the press and the media can do well without legislation. I mean, we found stuff during martial law, after all.